You've heard it before, love will heal you. You were taught that love is a safe haven, a place where loneliness disappears. You believed that once you found the right person, all your wounds would fade. But what if I told you all of that was just an illusion? Love, as modern culture paints, it is a kind of anesthesia. It lulls us to sleep with tales of soulmates and destined halves. But beneath those dreams lies a deeper, more unsettling truth. Real love doesn't heal you. It breaks you so you can be reborn. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychoanalyst, didn't see love as a pleasant emotion. He called it a sacred fire, a furnace where the human soul is refined like gold. Love to him isn't a sweet harmony between two people. It's a collision of deep selves where each must confront not just their own shadow but the others as well. Where most seek completion, Jung sought confrontation. When the person you love hurts you, it's not failure. It's a summons. When you feel jealousy, insecurity, fear of loss, those aren't just emotions. They're portals into your soul. True love doesn't come to help you escape your brokenness. It comes to make you face it fully without flinching. It throws you off balance, pushes you into emotional terrain you've avoided. But from there, you begin to remember who you are. You start to see the line between love and possession. You notice how you project ideal images onto the other and then face the heartbreak of disillusionment. You learn that the initial spark might be nothing more than your anima or animus stirring, not love itself. And when you no longer need someone to make you whole, when you can stand rooted in your own completeness, then if love arrives, it is no longer the destination. It becomes a journey, a sacred rite of transformation. This video won't offer cliches. No 5 tricks to keep him interested, no hacks to avoid being ghosted. Instead, we'll explore 7 signs of authentic love through the symbolic lens of Carl Jung. We'll move through the layers from possession to shadow, from initial attraction to soul depth. We won't shy away from the truth. We'll face it with open hearts and the courage of the soul. Because as Carl Jung once wrote, the meeting of 2 souls, if it is truly real, will transform both forever. Deep down, we don't just crave to be loved. We crave to hold on to what moves us. Somewhere in the collective unconscious, we've absorbed this belief: if I hold on tightly enough, I won't be left behind. But Carl Jung warned, where the will to control appears, love quietly withdraws. Possessiveness isn't a moral failing, it's the residue of unhealed fear. And that fear left in shadow turns love into a beautiful cage, but a cage nonetheless. Ask yourself, have you ever said I love you when what you really meant was, I need you? Have you ever found yourself checking messages, scanning for distance, feeling anxious when they pull away? Maybe it's not your grown-up self loving. Maybe it's the inner child, abandoned, forgotten, crying out in desperation. In Jungian psychology, possessiveness arises when the shadow remains unintegrated. It often traces back to past wounds, times you were abandoned, betrayed, or invisible. That pain forms part of an immature psyche, and in love, it gets triggered. Jung called this regression a slipping of consciousness into the unconscious. You think you're in love, but in truth, you're clinging to a savior image. The other becomes the mother you never had, the absent father, or the first person who made you feel worthy. At that point, love stops being a conscious choice. It becomes a reenactment of trauma. Jungian love is not built on blind attachment. It is sacred space where 2 souls can be present without dissolving into each other. They don't fear distance. They don't measure safety with control. They know real presence only exists when there is freedom. Jung wrote, Where love reigns, there is no will to power. And where power predominates, love is lacking. True love doesn't cling. It stands beside you, not on top of you. It expands, it doesn't contract. Someone who truly loves you won't need you to shrink so they can feel bigger. They won't fear your radiance. They'll encourage you to go far and stay grounded in the place you can return to. Possessiveness doesn't come from loving too much. It comes from not loving yourself enough. When your inner anima or animus remains unintegrated, you seek it in others. You believe they are everything I lack. And from that illusion, attachment begins. But when you walk the path of individuation, becoming whole in yourself, you understand love doesn't come to complete you. It comes to reflect you. If you're in love, ask yourself, do I love this person, or do I fear losing them? Am I giving them freedom or calling control? Care. Do I feel peace when they're away, or panic when I'm no longer in control? The answers will reveal whether you're loving from your soul or from your wound. How to transform possessiveness into presence. Write down dreams about them. Observe how you treat them in dreams. They reflect the shadow truth. Write an unsent letter to your inner child. Ask, what are you afraid of when they go silent? You'll be surprised by what your soul answers. Meditate on, they do not belong to me. Visualize your beloved flying free and you still whole, still standing. To love is to let them be free and free yourself too. Love is a spiritual relationship. It's not merging into one. It's two becoming who they are side by side. When you no longer fear distance, you're stepping into real love. When you can watch the one you love be free and still feel safe within yourself. You are loving no longer from lack, but from wholeness. There's a kind of love we're drawn to, love of the light. We fall for their gentleness, confidence, laughter, kindness. We love when they make us feel safe. But as Carl Jung once said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Love isn't about choosing only what's easy to love. It's about staying even when the parts that aren't easy begin to show. Love doesn't just love the beautiful, it loves what's been hidden. Jung called it the shadow. It's everything you were taught shouldn't exist. Anger, jealousy, fear, the urge to control, the quiet, unnamed sadness. Not just in you, but in the one you love. In love, we often project our shadows onto the other. We expect them to always be kind, strong, just as we imagined. And when they're not, we feel let down, even betrayed. But did they really betray you? Or is the image you created now falling apart? Jung warned that the early stage of love often isn't love at all. It's infatuation with a projection, the idealized image we cast onto them. You're not loving the real person, you're loving a map of your inner world trying to come alive through someone else. Then one day, they reveal something imperfect. They're cold, confused, hurt, or angry. You feel shaken. But this isn't where love ends. It's where it begins. When they reveal their shadow, you're invited into mature love, not to fix them, rescue them, or judge them, but to stay present and see them in their entirety, their light and their darkness, their brilliance and their wounds, their strength and their softness. All of it is soul. Loving their shadow doesn't mean tolerating abuse or becoming a martyr. It means seeing their fear without panicking. You're not their therapist, but you are someone who can see them without running away. When your partner shows fear, jealousy, avoidance, your instinct may be to defend. Why are you like this? I can't deal with your anger. You've changed. But Jung would invite you to ask, what part of me is reacting so strongly? They aren't hurting you. They're touching a place in you that still needs healing. An old wound, a buried emotion, a mother-father imprint still unresolved. When your reaction is intense, you're not just speaking to them. You're speaking to your own unintegrated shadow. Practices for loving the shadow. Journal after conflict. Ask, what unrealistic expectations did I place on them? What emotion in me was so loud? You'll find your inner child, your pride, or your pain answering back. Be present when they're upset. Instead of fixing, ask what's hurting you right now. Listen without needing them to change. Meditate on they are a mirror. Picture standing in front of them not as a lover, but as a soul learning to see itself more clearly. Love cannot last if you only love the pleasant version of someone. Real love says, I see you and I'm still here. I see the imperfect in you and I'm not turning away. When both of you are brave enough to take off the masks, when shadows are seen, not shamed, when fears are heard, not judged, love begins to breathe. In modern culture, love is often seen as the finish line. Find your other half and live happily ever after. But for Carl Jung, love is never an ending. It is a threshold. It doesn't quench your thirst. It awakens a deeper hunger, the hunger to become your true self. Jung called the path of spiritual maturity individuation the journey toward wholeness. Not becoming perfect, but becoming whole light and shadow, conscious and unconscious, masculine and feminine fear and potential integrated as one. Love, in its deepest form, doesn't hand you miracles. It hands you a mirror so clear you can't look away. In love, you don't just see them. You begin to see the boundaries of your own being. You want to write, to create, to step into your path. But you delay. You wait. You say, it's not the right time. Then love shows up in someone who believes in you more than you believe in yourself. They see your dormant potential and refuse to let you hide from it. At first, you'll resist. You'll call them pushy, demanding, conditional. But the truth is, they're awakening you. Someone who truly loves you won't tolerate your shrinking. They don't need you to improve for them. They want you to rise for yourself. They're the one who watches you stop writing and asks, why do you always leave things unfinished? The one who sees you exhausted and says, whose life are you living? Not to criticize, but to awaken. You may think harmony is proof that it's real love. But Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. No collision, no transformation. No tension, no evolution. Mature love always includes conflict. The one who loves you will touch your fears, your wounds, your dreams, and your laziness. And you'll be placed before a sacred choice. Keep performing, or finally live the truth. The person who triggers you is rarely the one who comforts you. They provoke you, and in doing so, reveal the unlived within you. Jung called this the push from the unconscious, the deeper self using others to stir your forgotten parts. When they challenge you, they're not against you. They're confronting the version of you that gave up on yourself. Real growth begins the moment you stop defending and start asking, why am I reacting so strongly? Am I avoiding a part of my potential? If I fully lived as myself, who would I become? Practices for love that sparks growth. Sit with the discomfort. When challenged by your partner, don't just react. Ask, what part of me is being stirred? Share your unlived dreams. Tell them what you've been too afraid to pursue and let them help hold you accountable to it. Track your impulse to run. When you want to pull away, pause. Ask, what part of myself are they making me see that I'd rather avoid? True love doesn't make you more comfortable, it makes you grow. It is the soil. You are the seed. Avoid it, and you'll wither inside your own safety. But if you lean in, you'll bloom. And you know what? When you grow, they grow too. Because real love is when two souls evolve into something far greater than they could ever be alone. Share with me. Where are you right now on your journey of love and coming home to yourself? Was there something in this video that made you pause and look deeper into your own heart? Write it down, even just one line. I read every comment, and I truly believe a real word from your heart could be the light someone else is searching for. And if something in you felt seen today, if you sensed this was more than just a video, but the beginning of a journey, then hit subscribe, because we're not here to learn how others love. We're here to remember how our soul has always longed to love. There's a magical moment when you first meet them. The world seems to pause. Colors feel brighter. You see them as the perfect reflection of everything you've ever longed for, powerful, alluring, inspiring. But Jung warned this isn't real love. It's the Anima and Animus ancient inner images awakened and projected onto another. Anima, the hidden feminine within the man. Animus, the concealed masculine within the woman. When they're triggered, you don't truly see them. You see a piece of you, the part that's been aching for recognition. That's why it feels like a fairy tale, like living out an inner myth. But myths dissolve, especially when the shadow shows up. And if you don't notice in time, you'll wake to find you were in love with a projection, not a person. When the passion fades, a quiet crisis arises. You ask, why doesn't it feel the same anymore? Don't panic. This is your threshold to real love if you're brave enough to walk through. Jung called this the shift from enchantment to endurance. Now you must see them not through the lens of your inner longing, but as they are complicated, wounded, radiant, and real. At a deeper level, when you transcend black and white illusions, you begin to see your partner as a soul companion. Anima and Animus don't disappear, they evolve. No longer used to fill you up, they become guides leading you toward uncharted places within your own inner landscape. For example, a man healing his relationship with his anima may have once loved to be completed, but now he loves to know himself. A woman confronting her animus begins to speak up, claim her space and love with clarity, not silence. Let us borrow a small poem. The road through the heart is not paved with roses. Sometimes it's a storm, sometimes moonlit stillness. But when you walk with anima or animus beside you, you're never walking alone. This transformation might shatter your confidence and give you a freedom far greater than confidence ever could. When you realize they hold an image of you, you begin at last to meet yourself. If you're still idealizing your anima, animus, you're still projecting your inner world onto someone else. If you begin to see their shadow, you're beginning to wake up. When you enter real connection, you begin to integrate the soul. Jung wrote, "The man who does not become conscious of his anima or the woman of her animus will be possessed by them and live in shadow, not light." Practices for transforming anima, animus. Journal dreams featuring your lover's face. Then ask, what about their darker side? This reveals not just them, but the unseen parts you've projected onto them. Meditate through dialogue with your inner anima, animus. Visualize them. Ask them questions. Let this become an inner conversation as Jung himself practiced. Practice autonomy in relationship. When you respond consciously, not reactively, you begin to express inner power, not control. You no longer need to be seen to know that you are real. Jungian love doesn't just take you to them. It takes you back to yourself. When you meet your Anima Animus with awareness, you begin to love in ways you never thought possible. You no longer need someone to complete you. You enter relationship not from emptiness, but from wholeness. There's a popular myth we all know. We come together to complete each other. But Jung warned, those who enter love from a place of lack will only find in the other a mirror of their dependency. Loving from lack isn't love. It's psychological compensation, a subconscious response from a wounded self. When your inner world feels empty, you seek to be filled from the outside. You lean on your partner to soothe you, validate you, and prove that you're worthy. But when they don't meet those needs, you feel abandoned, anxious, or even pull away. Jung called this codependency, a state where you define yourself by how another sees you. You're no longer living fully, you're living in someone else's shadow. True love doesn't begin with searching for what you're missing. It begins when you stand grounded on the mountain of your own wholeness and choose to descend into love not from emptiness, but from fullness. If you don't feel whole, turn inward before you give yourself to someone else. You must be a whole person, not perfect, but fully conscious of all parts within you. You must face your shadow, have the courage to meet your wounds, and the eyes to see your potential. Only then can you love not to be filled, but to share your fullness. How to know you're loving from lack. You're easily jealous or insecure if they don't respond quickly. You tolerate being diminished as long as they don't leave. You center your entire life around the relationship, and your self-worth depends on it. These are signs of unhealthy love. If you find yourself on that edge, pause. When you love from wholeness, you don't see them as your savior. You don't expect them to heal you. Don't disappear into the relationship. You maintain your own boundaries and identity. Don't abandon responsibility for yourself. You know staying grounded is a lifelong practice. Love becomes a sacred meeting of two souls, not to end the journey, but to walk it together. Practices to transform. Dependency into wholeness. Name the emptiness inside. Write. When they don't respond, I feel empty, to the point that, then ask, can I be safe with this feeling? Pause before reacting to triggers. When you fear losing them, say to yourself, I am not empty. I am okay. Slowly, you'll realize you are okay even when they're not there. Create rituals to reconnect with yourself. Each day, look in the mirror, place your hand on your chest, and say, I accept myself as I am. That is the foundation for entering a healthy relationship. Love doesn't make you more hollow. It expands you if you enter it from a place of wholeness. If you love because you lack, the relationship will collapse the moment dependency breaks. But if you love because you are already enough, then you create a resonance of wholeness together far stronger than anything either of you could be alone. When love is no longer just a story between two people, but becomes a meeting between soul and cosmos, you've stepped into hieros gamos, the sacred marriage. The first light of the soul. A sign beyond chance. Have you ever felt an invisible thread connecting you to someone, as if the universe had orchestrated this meeting long before you ever laid eyes on each other? Not just a look exchanged, but a recognition that feels ancient. Jung called it synchronicity, meaningful coincidence. A shared dream, a tiny phrase that sends chills down both your spines. It's not just coincidence, it's a signal from the depths of the soul, an invisible agreement between two inner selves. In sacred union, you don't just become lovers. You become characters in a ritual scripted by the ancient universe. Every touch, every word, every silence becomes a sacred step on the soul's path. You're not living a fairy tale. You're whispering to the divine within. You're walking through doors of the archetype Sophia Logos, fire, water, king, and queen within you and in each other. When love takes on a spiritual dimension, it doesn't make you float above reality. You don't escape into heaven and abandon your body. On the contrary, you're summoned to stand even more firmly to take full responsibility for your presence. You're invited to carry out daily rituals, not in grandeur, but in sincerity, humility, and presence, a conscious gaze, a breath shared, a hand held with intention. Jung described hieros gamos as the merging of consciousness and the unconscious, a space where two souls enter a numinous state standing before the sacred, not once, but continually. Personal and spiritual psychology begin to intertwine. Spirituality no longer floats above daily life. It becomes embodied in every simple gesture. This isn't love only when they say, "I love you." It's love when you hold their hand and still remember your name. You hear them and still hear your inner voice. You are fully with them without losing yourself. That doesn't happen automatically. It is born of two souls compressing their fears, facing blind spots, and walking together through the mystery of being. Practices for living sacred union. Daily mini rituals. Each morning, share water. Look into each other's eyes and say, "We are here now with everything we bring." Journal synchronicities and shared dreams. You'll begin to see hidden threads pulling you toward a shared inner image. Silent meditation together. No words, just breath. 5 minutes a day standing or sitting near each other, looking into one another's soul. Not every love reaches sacred union. But if you find yourself longing for something eternal, if you want to lift love into another state of awareness, pause and ask, am I ready to take full responsibility for becoming the soul I truly am? Hieros gamos doesn't let you escape. It brings you home to the great responsibility of becoming divine in human form. To love not just for pleasure, but as a sacred act of existence. When we love deeply quietly, we are not just meeting another person. We are meeting ourselves in a form we've never dared to face. Love doesn't come to perfect you. It comes to expose the cracks and offer you the chance to walk through them with light. In every relationship, no matter where it leads, there is always a soul agreement. A whisper from the cosmos. Wake up, remember who you were before the world told you who to be. We're no longer chasing fleeting romance. We're yearning for something real, deep, something that touches our soul. You don't want someone who simply checks the boxes. You want someone who awakens a primal gaze within you, someone who makes you want to heal instead of blame, to show up instead of escape, to return instead of run. I know this much. You're no longer here for a surface life. You don't want to just date someone. You want a soul ritual. You want awakening through love. You want freedom and connection. You want the sacred and the real. I want to hear from you. Where are you on this journey? Have you ever experienced a love that both healed and challenged your soul? Have you ever seen the other as a mirror, reflecting everything you haven't yet accepted in yourself? Share your story in the comments below. I read every word, and I believe your story will touch someone who needs it. If what you heard today stirred something in you, if a deep part of you whispered, "Finally someone said what I've been feeling all along," then subscribe, because this isn't just a video, it's a journey. A journey home to the sacred within love. A journey into the shadows and light of connection. A journey Carl Jung once called individuation through love. Love, in its most primal form, is not possession, not a destination. It is a whisper between two souls who choose to be present. It is two beings saying to each other in silence, "I see you, and through you, I am seeing myself again. Share with me." Where are you right now on your journey of love and coming home to yourself? Was there something in this video that made you pause and look deeper into your own heart? Write it down, even just one line. I read every comment, and I truly believe a real word from your heart could be the light someone else is searching for. And if something in you felt seen today, if you sensed this was more than just a video, but the beginning of a journey, then hit subscribe, because we're not here to learn how others love. We're here to remember how our soul has always longed to love.